Hey guys, Eric Schultek, Corey.
What's up?
We are heading down to Iowa City to the Nile show and see some good friends. We had a cool idea that we kind of created some playlists, and we were like, well, let's kill some time and let's talk kind of some of our favorite metal songs and songs that maybe influenced us and kind of go back, influence our styles, going back and forth. Should be pretty interesting. We don't know what songs we've chose, so it's gonna be fun as we kind of go through it. It was kind of hard to narrow down.
It was, yeah.
Even
hard.
12. Like,
yeah.
I think I had like 24 at first. I'm like, oh, that's way too much.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a tough time even just picking out 12 bands, I guess. I tried to do 12 different bands.
Yeah.
And then let alone the track from each band.
It was tougher than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Putting this together. But I'm excited to hear what you picked and that sort of thing. But now me, like, I'm a huge fan. So I grew up as a like 90s metal kid, right? So like GNR and Metallica, and Pantera, Megadeth, of course, the staples. But what really kind of got me into like metal being melodic in songwriting was early Metallica and Master of Puppets. Like the first time I heard that album just blew me away. So I'm a huge fan of epic instrumentals. So for the first one, I kind of decided to go back and start from early and go to more recent in my list.
Nice. Okay.
Cool. The first one that I want to jam is my favorite instrumental, pretty much almost of all time, if not top 3, and that's Metallica's Orion.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good choice.
I love like just all the different nuances of the song. Cliff Burton on bass, and his arrangements, and I just think it's a killer instrumental. It keeps you interested for as long as it is.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, I love that song. Like I said, the bass and Cliff Burton, you can hear him all over it. And I often wonder, like, where they'd be these days, or what music they would have written if he was still alive.
I know, right? Yeah, it's such a cool album. I was thinking during that. I mean, I didn't include Metallica on my list, but that was such a close album that I did want to include, but it was so hard to narrow it down, so I ended up taking that off. But what a killer album.
It really was, man. Like that, so many killer things happened around the same time. In the late 80s,
Yeah.
But I just love epic metal instrumentals, and that one was like started it all for me.
Nice.
But another band that really I love and helped kind of shape my style too is Slayer.
Nice.
You got to include Slayer. Now, how many awesome songs does Slayer have? Obviously, very difficult but right around the same period, Rain and Blood came out, and this track that I want to play next, I thought it was just a well-written, like the drums with the guitar parts, and I'm talking about Postmortem.
Nice. Okay. Cool.
I thought a well-written song, and Lombardo's drum parts, the ride parts in this, just everything about. I mean, this is another good album where it's hard to choose a favorite, but
I remember first putting this album on when I was younger. It completely blew my mind. This was when I spun the whole album over and over and over all the time. Very cool.
Well, let's check this one out, and then we'll go to your playlist and jam a couple songs of yours. And
awesome. All right.
Postmortem. Dude, Postmortem, what could I say?
Yeah.
So many tasteful drum fills in that. Like we were listening, and you were telling me the part that you like, that you waited for. And the one that I always do is that snare break. Right before the skank beat.
Yep.
You had a favorite spot though, don't you?
Yeah. Well, I like the ride thing you pointed out too, which is so rad. And then like just the build up at the end is so cool. How they bust out into those like that thrashy part, which is cool.
Yeah, it kind of takes you back to like it's very punk rock parts in that. You know what I mean? Like, for sure.
I was going to mention that. Yeah, I had I don't know, a while ago I was talking to somebody about that, and they didn't like the album because they thought it was so like it was sloppy or something. But it's like that was kind of the point, was they had this punk rock edge to it, and I loved that album because of that.
Yeah, that's another one that right around the same time, like 86, 87.
Yeah.
Just, man, awesome.
Super cool.
Yeah, the ride part and the drum fills and the heist Tom Araya screams.
The scream, yeah, I forgot about that. That was the one. Yeah, I was telling Eric that the first time I saw Slayer live, I was waiting for Tom to do that scream. He does that on Angel of Death as well. And the first time I saw him live, he didn't do that, and I was super bummed. But I don't know if he was having an off night on vocals and just didn't do it. But luckily I saw him a couple other times, and he nailed that part. So I always thought those screams are really cool.
Yeah, definitely not easy to do.
Yeah.
But I don't think he did any more of those after this record, did he?
I don't think so. No. I kind of wonder why he did them to begin with. They're kind of like just like not expected, but that's why I like it.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. It doesn't bother me at all. I think it's cool. I think it's cool. But all right, let's get over to your playlist.
Yeah. All right, so my first pick here is actually pretty cool because it goes right along with Eric's. So he picked a couple of tracks that I was like really wanted on my list, but I had to just kind of narrow it down, and I took those off. But this band is right along with this. So my first choice was Megadeth, Hangar 18. So Megadeth was like one of those where I think they introduced me to kind of that more thrashy, heavier style of music, whereas before that I was kind of listening to a lot of hard rock, maybe like 80s hair metal stuff. But Megadeth was kind of the gateway band to like show me that there's heavier things out there. And oddly, you know, there's always that Megadeth Metallica thing. I didn't get into Metallica till way later on because I started listening to Megadeth. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, so Megadeth was kind of my first band.
And really at the time it was like, wasn't it like you either liked Metallica or you liked Megadeth? Like you couldn't coexist. It was like some stupid thing.
Right.
Just because of the history there. But
I wish we didn't even have to bring that up, but it's such a big historical thing that everybody talks about. But yeah, oddly, back then it was like you had to make a choice. So I went the Megadeth route. And oddly, it's because a friend of mine, he left a picture of Megadeth Euthanasia, like the album cover. He had like a picture of it, and we used to draw draw stuff together in sketchbooks or whatever. And I think me or him was drawing that, and we found it, and because the album cover looked cool. Never heard the band before, but that cover inspired me to check out this band Megadeth. So that was kind of
no kidding. Okay.
Yeah, kind of a weird introduction to them.
you started with them later.
Yeah, definitely.
With the later material, and then you went back to
right, yeah.
Rest in Peace.
Yep. Rest in Peace was kind of one of the later ones I checked out. But yeah, Hangar 18, obviously, there's not a lot to be said about it. It's just a pretty cool track.
The Megadeth in their riffage is just impeccable. Like Dave Mustaine, he's Dave Mustaine, you know. So many good songs, and this is probably my favorite Megadeth album, Rest in Peace, and probably one of my favorite Megadeth songs.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So yeah, let's jam it. I haven't heard it in a while.
Yeah, the solos are crazy on that. That back and forth ending section is just phenomenal.
Yeah, and Marty Friedman's like an alien, man. He's just insane licks going back and forth. But we were talking like how you can totally hear the differences between him and Dave's playing styles.
Yeah, Dave's got that crazy, like just thrashy, super fast alternate picking thing, but Marty's obviously got that really melodic, articulate sound.
It was a good blend. You know, I love that album. It's just so musical. Everything I love about metal is in that whole album. You know what I mean?
Right.
And particularly in that song. So that was a really good choice. And it compliments that. You know, I'm glad you did it because I didn't pick it.
Yeah, right.
And it should be on there because it's such a great tune.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with both of our lists combined, I think we were hitting all of each other's. Probably the stuff you didn't pick, I probably put on mine.
That would be super rad.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
I wonder if we picked the same song. We'll see. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we'll see. Should we do my next one?
Yeah, let's talk about your next one.
So actually for the next one, this is a little different stylistically, I think, than what we've had so far. So the reason I'm picking this one is this was kind of like the band that made me decide that I wanted to play in a band and do this, you know, like do the thing, you know, play music for a living. And that is Def Leppard.
Wow, okay. Not where I thought you were going to go with that.
Right. So I got into this band obviously before Megadeth, so this kind of, you know, my bands before I got into that hard stuff was more, you know, like the rock-oriented stuff. And the track I chose was actually Gods of War, off the Hysteria album. And I think a lot of like hard rock fans don't like the Hysteria album because they kind of went super pop on that.
This is the Mutt Lange production, right?
Yeah. So yeah, you've got like what was the singles off that was like Pour Some Sugar on Me,
right?
Photograph. Gosh, they had so many singles on that album. It was just
It's an incredible record, and you know people can say what they want, but until I started getting into audio and video production, like this, it's undeniably incredible.
Yeah.
Like the length that they went to record.
Yeah.
Sonically, how perfected it's just hearing the stories is crazy.
Yeah, it's so meticulous everything they did, and it's definitely like super produced, which is cool. I really love it. And back then, you know, they didn't have all the nice tools in the computer digital stuff that we have now, so they had to do all of that like manually, you know, like edits or whatever they were doing and things like that. But the guitar tones are so clean, the drums are so clean, everything. I think they recorded
a lot of their songs like one string at a time.
Yeah,
like that's what I heard, like you know, just to get that, I mean, that separation and that something that the Mutt Lange method, which people talk about, and it's just painstakingly grueling.
right.
But you can hear it in the final product.
And so I think that album had like ridiculous amount of singles. It was like 7 of the tracks off there were singles in various parts of the world. But I picked Gods of War, which I think is more of a B-side track. But it's got so many cool like build-ups, and I don't know. It's just pretty unique. It's a little.
What is it about this track in particular that made you? Or maybe you can tell me after.
Yeah, we'll listen to it.
Okay,
I'll tell you.
Okay, cool.
Okay, let's check it out. All right, so that was Gods of War.
I haven't heard that in a long time.
Yeah.
So tell me why that one was the one that made you kind of.
Yeah. So the cool thing is like listening through these, talking to you. I think the reason, I didn't really realize this at first, but I think the reason is a lot of the layering on Gods of War is more prominent than I think some of the singles that they released. It sounds like they did a lot more experimenting on that, like tons of. I think the melodic guitar lines against the vocal lines, and then you've got the rhythm guitar, and then sometimes you got 3 or 4 alternating like vocal lines too on top of each other. Just all that layering is really cool. I think they did a lot of took a little bit of time to experiment and try some crazy stuff on that. So
there's definitely a lot of layers, and it's not easy to do, especially when you have it come out of that pristine of a production, you know.
Yeah, they did a good job. So that was one of my favorites. And then another cool story that I mentioned to Eric is the reason I got into Def Leppard is my friend, when we were really young, his dad had this VHS tape, this Def Leppard Historia VHS tape, where it had all their videos, and I don't know why he ever brought it, but we started watching it, and I remember kind of kind of making fun of the fact that their hair color got blonder and blonder over the course of the videos. But he just kept bringing this video over, and we kept jamming it all the time. And I think the guitar playing really just inspired me to want to play, play guitar.
Oh yeah.
So
that's awesome. Cool story, man. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna play a couple more. So the next one that I'm gonna bring to the table is basically from what kind of got me to the heavy, a step up in the heavier category. Nice. So going from Metallica and Slayer, and then being exposed to something more in the death metal vein, and today this is still one of my favorite bands of all time, and that's Death.
Nice.
And the song is Trapped in a Corner.
Cool. Very cool.
And I just, this is along the lines too, like of that previous song, just the guitar, the melodic guitar, and this was kind of the intro to me for harsher vocals, but still, I mean, musical songs, just that much heavier though. And this one just kind of stuck to me as one that I just remember, like light bulb went off in my head,
Awesome.
Things got a little bit heavier.
Yeah.
I love that band. That is a hard task picking my favorite Death song, but I just remember like being in high school and hearing that for the first time and just being like, whoa, like this was heavier than anything that I was used to, and crazy solos and vocals that I could understand but were aggressive. So
right.
That was it for me.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, Death kind of had everything going on. Like the guitars are crazy and wild, drums crazy, bass, those little.
Oh man, like the bass on this record is one of my favorites, just because that fretless slides are just so tasteful in a lot of the music. Cool. All right, well I'll do one more and then we can go back to you. But this one is definitely a staple, and the drummer definitely left an imprint on me and a lot of others, of course. But the beats in this song, I think, are, as a drummer, very, very tasteful, and it adds to the heaviness of the riff in the overall song. And I'm talking about Pantera's "I'm Broken."
Nice.
Yeah. Obviously, Dimebag, hell of a guitar player. Vinny was one of my favorite drummers of all time. Just he not overplaying is what he did best, and he did his complicated stuff. But he didn't overcomplicate the parts, and I think it just made it so much heavier. And there's so many examples of it, but in this particular song, it just always stuck with me. And plus, what a killer video! This is like one of the most badass videos ever.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I don't know if Pantera's on your list or if this one. Hopefully we didn't pick the same song if they are.
No, it actually isn't. It's another one.
Okay, cool.
Didn't get on my list, but obviously it should be on anybody's list. Such a powerhouse.
Oh man,
it's undeniable.
This album is so sick. There's so many good tracks on it. Hard to pick one, but I haven't heard it in a while. But let's jam it.
Nice. Nice choice.
Yeah, I was just thinking during the song too, like he could have played rhythm guitar under the solo, but he didn't.
Right.
And they did that a lot.
Yep. I think it's a cool choice.
I think it is a cool choice,
especially in that song. It just kind of makes it more even just like in your face. I think,
Yeah. It's one of my favorites. I'm just so heavy and tasteful, not overplaying.
Yeah. The tones that they were getting, I think that was a huge part of them too. Was just like no one had ever heard that guitar sound or that drum sound before. I don't know what they're doing in the production of it, but it's just awesome.
Super punchy, super tight.
Yeah, right.
Awesome.
Cool song. Okay, so this next one that I picked. It's kind of like you said with Death. This was like the band that kind of introduced me to harsh vocals, and that was another gateway for me too. Was like, I hadn't heard anything like that before with like the harsh stuff, the screaming stuff. But the band is still so musical and just phenomenal musically that I could stay hooked on it enough to keep my attention, and then the vocals just grew on me over time. And that is Children of Bodom.
Okay.
And Follow the Reaper. So
yeah, okay, all right.
This was one, and the way I found out about this band was just random. I was at a show as a kid, and this band was playing, and we were hanging out with them, and one of the guys asked everybody, like, "Oh, have you heard the new Children of Bodom?" And I had no idea who they were. So of course I went home after that and checked out the album immediately. And yeah,
they're Swedish, right? Are they Swedish?
Yeah, from Sweden. Yeah.
And Children of Bodom was the name is based on. Correct me if I'm wrong. There was some major child story killers thing.
Yeah, like a killer that I don't know if they ever found out who it was, but I don't remember the full story behind it. But yeah, some kind of killer that killed a few people, and I don't think they ever caught who did it. So that's kind of a cool thing about Bodom too, is all their songs based around that, or the theme of that, the Reaper and things like that. So yeah, very cool track.
Yeah, let's jam it.
Check it out. Cool. So that one just jam-packed for days with just melody and sick guitar solos and everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy transitions too.
Yeah.
Super tight. It's cool to hear keyboards with.
Yeah. That whole. It just, I don't know. When I started listening to that stuff, just blew my mind. Because that's when I started kind of getting into learning solos, on guitar and stuff, and some of the more shred kind of stuff. So Bodom was just perfect. And the one thing I always thought was cool, it's the first time I saw him live too, was crazy, because you've got Alexi and then their keyboard player, I forget his name, but they were doing these solos and synchronizing them, doing them together, and they'd go up there and they'd look at each other and they'd be talking to each other and doing this crazy, doing them together, like it was just effortless, and they were just laughing and talking up on stage, and I'm like, dude, who is this band? But yeah, just crazy, talking up on stage, and I'm like, dude, who is this band? Yeah, he passed. Super, super sad. He lived a pretty hardcore rock star life, and he paid the price for it. For sure. Super sad. He lived a pretty hardcore rock star life, and he paid the price for it. For sure.
I remember they used to tour a lot with a couple of bands that I used to follow at the time, and who still know. And man, they like, you would have to avoid them to not become completely.
You hang with them, and it's like mandatory drinking.
Just nonstop.
My band Luna Mortis, we played a show with another band from Sweden called Swallow the Sun, way back in 2009, and it must just be a thing with bands from Sweden, because those guys all had their own bottle of vodka backstage, and they were just hammered. Bands from Sweden, because those guys all had their own bottle of vodka backstage, and and I mean, I think.
But as we go.
Alexi was in his 40s, and he did that probably every day. And it's crazy. Yeah, he
recovers fast.
Yeah, Alexi was in his 40s, and he did that probably every day.
I know.
Yeah. We might be feeling it a little.
Not tomorrow.
Tomorrow. So my next one is kind of along the lines with the Bodom stuff, is Arch Enemy Ravenous. So my next one is Wages of Sin, that album.
I love that album.
Yeah, right. And I heard this song on Headbangers Ball when they brought it back for a while, and I don't know what years that was, early 2000 something. They had a bunch of really sick videos that I kept catching on Headbangers Ball, and this was one of them, and really dug it.
All right, so I thought we would switch it up every once in a while and put one of our tunes in. This one I'm starting with isn't the full song. It's a cover, though. But this was like one of my, I don't know, it's a really good memory of recording. And I was in Cleveland and with my friend Rob Arnold from Chimera, and we were doing an audio boot camp with A.L. Levy, and we were using Rob's studio, Rob Arnold World Studio in Cleveland, and students came in and we were going to use his place, and Al was going to take us through recording drums, recording guitars, doing vocals and everything like that. So it was a fun session. So we decided to record classic Chimera tune, Cleansation, and which came out cool. So all the students each of them had to track me, so I didn't realize how much work this was going to be, but I had to play that song like 10 times in a row, so they could each get levels, and then re-record me, punch me in. They could, it was a lot of work, but the finished product came out pretty good, and I thought it'd be a good one to start off with. I don't know if you've ever heard this or not. Probably not.
I don't think so. No.
So yeah, this is Rob and me, and he's playing bass and guitars, obviously, and me on drums, and it's the first minute or so of Cleansation, and this was what we did at that boot camp.
Cool.
Yeah, it was 2 days, so it was a lot of work, right? You did recording pretty much everything on the first day, and then I think the second day was mixing and and all that sort of stuff. But a lot to cover in 2 days. Obviously, that's why we didn't do the full song. But
no,
still, cool. I got to be like, I admire like all the work that Al has done, like in his bands and in his production side too.
Yeah, for sure.
So to have him track was special, and then obviously Rob's one of my favorite guitar players ever.
Yeah.
And to be able to jam on one of his songs with him was a great moment for me.
Yeah, I like all the tones on there too. Your drums turned out really sick.
Yeah, thanks, man.
They sound awesome.
Yeah. So this next one is, I'm a fan of metal instrumentals. Obviously, we've been talking about that. This is a project I did with Ed Rohn, who is the guitar player in Narcotic Wasteland with Dallas. Dallas and him knew each other from early 90s playing in bands, and when Dallas started Narcotic as a full-time deal, Ed was in from the get-go. So Ed is a shredder, man. He's a phenomenal guitar player. He was like guitar tech for Korn and a bunch of that stuff. But right now, I think he works for PreSonus or something, but does a lot of tech work. But anyway, so he writes songs all the time. You'll hear his guitar work; it's just phenomenal. But I was like, hey man, like, do you want to do something on the side? Like, he's got all these instrumentals. He's like, hell yeah! So we decided to, he already kind of had them written, and I just recorded drums. This is kind of right when I first moved into my my last studio I just moved from, when Level 3 started. So it was kind of, doing the drum tones in there, figuring out the room. But this came out pretty good. For some reason, this song, I don't even know what the title means. I think it's just the working title and just stayed that way. It's called Rocco My Socko.
Nice.
And it's just a catchy metal instrumental, one of my favorites. And this is the one that people, out of the whole album, they constantly asked to hear this one. So this one was the one, and actually it's my kid's favorite song that I've ever done. So
nice.
I don't think you've heard this yet either, but
I think so.
So this is Rocco My Socko, Edwin Rohn.
That was rad.
Thanks, man. Yeah, so that was, my mix and my production and all that sort of stuff. And it's kind of when I was really kind of getting into it and trying to figure it out. That one just came out great. And it's a good driving tune.
For sure, yeah. I like the hi-hat stuff you were doing in there.
Thanks,
too.
Man.
Like real tasty.
Yeah, it's kind of like it just got that driving kick drum throughout the whole thing, and there's some tasty little linear fills and some cool hi-hat stuff in there.
Very cool.
Yeah, he's a shredder. He's cool. I want to hear some of your stuff. So what do you got coming up here?
The first one, let's see, I haven't even decided what order I should do these in. We'll go with Anemic World by Luna Mortis. So this band I was in around 2009, 2007. I think is when I first joined. But this was kind of a cool story too. We went out to track the EP that this was on out in Ohio with Don DiBiase. And I believe he's got some connections with the Chimera guys and stuff.
Yeah, because they're in Ohio. We're in Ohio.
We went to Cleveland.
Okay, so they're the same.
Yeah. So we would hear stuff about a lot of the bands from that area.
Yeah.
And Don is such a good producer.
Sweet.
So he produced this, and this was kind of like my first professional, going into a pro studio, recording, all that kind of stuff, and it was such a fun experience. And the track turned out really cool, and there's tons of stories I could get into about it, but let's check it out.
Yeah, I want to hear it, and then we can talk more about it. Sick. That is a shred fest.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I kind of forgot. I haven't listened to that in years, to be honest. So I kind of forgot all the crazy solos. A lot of that, most of that's Brian, but one of the most epic, in my favorite things I've ever done live is that middle solo where everything breaks out and you've got this kind of like it's like a tapping solo. Me and Brian did that in harmony, and that was always like a favorite. Like people would love that live.
Yeah, I remember seeing that live. I mean, we've definitely played some of the same shows back in the day. I was in a band called Powdersfield when you were in this band, Luna Mortis, and I remember that was definitely that song being played live a bunch of times. Yeah,
that was kind of the big one that we always that everybody loved, and just super fun to play. And one thing I like about the recording part of that too was that Don actually used our actual guitar rigs. Like a lot of times these days you just do a DI track and then somebody will reamp it later with whatever amp they feel suits it. But this is kind of cool the way you record it was more old school, where it was like Brian's actual guitar rig, my actual guitar rig. We blended the tones. We took the time to
sick.
Figure out what matched, and it sounded cool. I think it was one of my favorite performances on a recording that I've done.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a great song. A lot going on, guitar-wise too, and vocal-wise. Her range is what she's able to do is incredible.
Yeah, Mary is phenomenal. Yep, switch it back and forth, clean. And harsh.
So Mary was obviously an influence on Megan.
Yeah, for sure.
The last time, Megan did some studying with her.
Yep, Megan does vocal lessons with her, and I watch a lot of Mary's videos too to kind of train my voice to do backing vocals and stuff. So
is she still around here or no?
No, she moved to Vegas.
Oh, okay.
I think Vegas actually. So, but she's out here once in a while. I think I try to go see her when she's around.
She's in town.
Yeah.
Now, what about Brian? What's he up to?
He's playing with Lords of Trident now.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, and they're doing really great things too. Super huge on the Patreon crowdfunding thing. They're fully independent and actually taking huge advantage of that. So
that's killer.
Doing good. Yeah, it's nice to see. And I know Brian's having a blast playing with them too. I can tell. So
I'm definitely gonna want to check them out next time they play.
Yeah,
I think I met the singer at the last show we played.
Oh yeah, Ty. Yep.
Yeah,
good dude. Really awesome people.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's a tough one to beat. What else do you have on here for your second one?
Yeah, so for my second one, I'll roll into another Luna Mortis one. But this one was one that we tracked later after we got signed. So that Anemic World, that EP kind of helped us get on the radar of actually Roadrunner Records.
Cool.
We did some stuff. We actually did demos for Roadrunner Records. They eventually actually weren't into it, but the cool thing is they forwarded it to Century Media, and then Century Media Records.
Oh, is that how that worked?
Yeah. So they got the demo. Well, they weren't really demos; they were full blown. We tracked 4 tracks with Jason Sukoff to present to Roadrunner to see what we could do with a producer like Jason.
That's cool.
That was a thing, yeah. And then
so you went down to Florida for that?
Yep. And we did 4 tracks originally. And then Century Media was interested, and then what we did was we took those 4 tracks, Roadrunner sold them, I guess, to Century Media or whatever, licensed them, And then we came up with 6 more tracks, and then this song is called Ash, and this was one of the 6 that we did the second time we went to Florida after getting the Century Media contract.
Sweet.
And this is another one where I just we'll check it out and then we'll talk about.
Yeah. That was sick.
Yeah.
I like that snare roll and the fast double picking at the end.
Yeah. Super cool. Yeah, cool way to like just.
The drums are slamming. The mix is great.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that was the first thing I was going to bring up too. Is just this Jason Sukoff, obviously, is a master, and it was like quite amazing being able to work with him. And I a lot of times I sat back and watched him work, even when I wasn't tracking stuff. And stuff he did with the vocals is really killer.
Yeah, I'd love to be a fly on the wall for some of those sessions, you know?
Yeah.
He definitely has his own tone, like his sound.
Yeah.
Like especially his drums.
Yeah.
God, just in the separation he gets, but it's that punch.
Yeah.
You know, it's not as easy as people think.
Right, yeah.
I'd be proud of that one too. That's flying. Great production, great song.
Yeah. A lot of fun doing the solo trades too.
Yeah, so you did the first solo and then you traded off with him. He did the second part.
Yeah, Brian did the second one, and then we come back in on the third one to do a harmony thing.
Yeah.
So we were really, that album, we were really pushing the harmonized guitar, because originally I joined the band just as a rhythm player, but he could see I could actually do some cool lead stuff, so we were really pushing like the crazy shred harmony stuff, and that was always fun. So
yeah, it sounds great. You guys definitely gelled together.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, I actually just spoke with him the other day about it, and I had actually heard that song on a radio show that I was listening to.
Oh yeah.
And just thought of that solo, and I texted him right away, and we were kind of talking about the old days, playing that stuff live and just being locked in, and it was so much fun. So yeah.
Hell yeah.
Cool track too.
I hadn't heard that one before. That's a ripper.
Nice.
I like that one. Yeah. Cool. So going back from my playlist, this song for me, I don't remember getting into them right when I kind of moved out here, but it was taking the drums to the next level, like as far as speed and the tightness with the riff. And I'm talking about Fear Factory.
Yeah. Nice.
And just what Dino was able to do in that band, and Burton Bell, and gotten to hang out with Burton a bunch over the years, and such a super nice guy.
Cool.
But this song, definitely opened up my eyes to a whole new level of double kick playing with the guitar riff, which they were famous for. So
yeah.
And I haven't heard this in a while, so awesome. I'm excited to jam it. But yeah, it was just the fastness of it, the punchiness of it. Fear Factory's got their own thing going on.
Definitely.
Shock.
Awesome.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. That one's so great, man.
I love that song live too. Just
nice.
Oh man.
I never got to see them live.
No?
Unfortunately. I bet that's just crushing though.
Yeah, that's definitely an opener in a huge pit.
Nice.
But yeah, that was the first time for me, like really thinking about, wow, man, matching the kick drum with the guitar, riff, like, then of course a lot of other people tried to copy it and stuff like that, but at the time, like, I hadn't heard anything like that,
Right, yeah.
Plus, it kind of had a different type of like vocal too. It was like he had his heavy screams, then he kind of had his more freestyle scat type.
Right.
Whatever you want to call.
Yeah, such a unique. It's cool when bands come out a hit like that, where it's like you hadn't heard that before, or something just a little different that they're doing that just really speaks to people.
It's cool. I have another one this one's a little bit of a departure, but still one of my favorite like records I find myself listening to like all the time. Now we played Pantera. I love Phil Anselmo, but this is his project Superjoint Ritual.
Nice.
And I got to see him actually when they came through. They played Madison at the Annex like years ago, and I just couldn't believe I was like they were playing there. It was and it was kind of it's more of a throwback kind of punk vibe, just dirty, nasty kind of sounding, gritty, and I don't know, I just like it. But they write pretty to the point songs. I don't know if you've listened to them much or not, but
yeah, I forget which record I have of theirs. I think it was the second one they did.
Yeah.
That one, loved it.
I love it. It's just so nasty and gritty,
Yeah.
Just full attitude. Yep. And Hank 3 on bass, Jimmy Bower on guitar. I mean, I love. I have 2 of the records, the first and the second, but I think I'm missing one. But I don't know. I'm kind of a guilty pleasure of mine.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Really awesome. It's cool for me just jamming that. It's been. I think the last time I listened to any of that was when it came out.
Yeah, probably so like early 2000s, right?
Right. Yeah.
4 or something.
Yep. And yeah, that was good throwback.
Good. Our lists are commingling nicely.
Yeah, for sure. Nice.